All right, today we are jumping right onto the court for a debate that's pure primetime TV. It's really a tale of two cities, pitting New York's deepest fears against LA's biggest frustrations. So let's get into it. So it all kicks off with this just classic line from Kendrick Perkins. You can just hear him saying it with a grin, right? But, don't let that humor fool you, because behind that joke, there's this really deep anxiety that was about to blow up into a major identity crisis for New York basketball.
And yeah, that brings us right to our first big flashpoint, the New York Knicks. You've got a franchise that is all about toughness, all about that New York swagger, and suddenly, they're gripped by fear. So what on earth could have the city that never sleeps, losing sleep?
69. Just let that number sink in. That was the number hanging over the Knicks like this giant storm cloud. In their last two games against the Pistons, they'd been blown out by a combined 69 points. Look, this wasn't just another game on the schedule. This was about avoiding a total, complete psychological collapse. And this slide, wow, it just perfectly captures that internal battle. On one side, you've got the face of Stephen A. Smith, basically embodying every single Knicks fan's worst nightmare. And then on the other, the ideal Knick, right? Just dripping with that unshakable New York bravado. It's a team literally at war with itself. Listen to this. I'm going to lose all hope. Man, you can just feel the weight in those words. For Stephen A., this was so much more than just a game. A third straight loss to a struggling Pistons team? That would mean the Knicks' championship dreams were, nothing but a fantasy. And that led to a really brutal question on the debate floor. Were the Knicks, the absolute symbol of New York grit, somehow turning into, the perpetually worried Jet fans? Was all this fear a sign that the franchise was actually losing its very core identity?
Okay, so while one side is absolutely panicking, Kendrick Perkins strolls in with a completely different energy. He's got this unshakable faith, and it is all laser-focused on one guy.
Whoa, now that is a monster of a statement. Think about it. Not top 10, not even top 5. Perkins straight up declared Jalen Brunson a top 3 Knicks player of all time. For Perkins, this wasn't just some hot take. This was a fact, and it was the ultimate antidote to all that fear. And look, Perkins didn't just say it, he backed it up. He points to Brunson being a clutch player of the year candidate, his whole big body Brunson mentality, that he's not scared of anyone. He even argues he's just one championship away from being the greatest Knick, period. So with a guy like that leading what Perkins called the deepest roster in the East, where's the room for fear? There is none. But right when the Knicks debate is hitting a total fever pitch, boom, the entire conversation just pivots. We're talking a hard left turn. We shoot all the way across the country from New York to LA. And it's all because of this one seemingly harmless clip from LeBron James's podcast. So here's LeBron, right? He's calm, he's measured, and he's just stating the facts for his Lakers. It's all about getting healthy, building that chemistry, getting minutes together on the floor. It sounds like a pretty standard professional athlete answer, doesn't it? Yeah, that seems perfectly reasonable, right? The Lakers have been absolutely plagued by injuries, so of course health is their number one priority. It's an obvious point, sure, but it's a fair one. Or is it? Well, because Stephen A. Smith did not hear a reasonable point. He heard something that just made him erupt, completely taking over the entire show. The calm didn't just break, it was absolutely shattered. And there it is. Bravo. Who the hell don't know that? Pure, unfiltered, theatrical rage. This wasn't a debate anymore. It was a detonation. He wasn't just disagreeing. He was absolutely furious that such an obvious statement was even part of the conversation. Okay, so here's the real root of it. For Stephen A., this wasn't really about LeBron. It was about a much bigger principle. He believes that when these superstar athletes have a platform, a microphone, they owe us, the fans, more than just the obvious. They should be giving us some kind of nugget, an insight we can't get anywhere else. So to him, saying health is important was just a massive waste of everybody's time. But you know what? Stephen A.'s explosion actually led to a pretty real question. Is health really the only thing holding the Lakers back? Or is there something more going on? And that's when the debate shifted to analyzing LA's true potential. So to be fair to LeBron, this chart right here shows he kind of had a point. At that time, the Lakers' main trio, LeBron, Austin Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell, had only played 10 games together. 10 out of 54. It is almost impossible to build real chemistry with that little time on the floor. So yeah, his comment, while obvious, was based on a very real, very serious problem.
But digging deeper, the analysis showed the problem was bigger than just injuries. As you can see in this table, the Lakers are basically two completely different teams in one. Offensively, they're prolific. They can score on anyone. But on defense, woof, they just can't get a stop. It's a team of these wild, crazy extremes.
And if you need just one quote to perfectly, and I mean perfectly, summarize their defensive issues, it's this absolute gem from Perkins. I mean, it's hilarious, yeah, but it's also a totally brutal assessment of a team that just could not defend anyone.
So after all the back and forth, all the analysis, this was the final verdict. Yeah, the Lakers' offense is good enough to win them a playoff series, maybe even two. But that defense, it creates a hard ceiling on their potential. They can make some noise, for sure, but as they are right now, they just can't win a championship.
And all of this brings us right back to the central question of this whole debate. On one side, you have the Knicks, right? A team that's wrestling with its own mindset, its own confidence. And on the other, you've got the Lakers, a team fighting a massive on-court imbalance. It really leaves you wondering, what's the bigger challenge on the road to a championship? Is it the battle inside your own head, or is it the battle you're fighting on the court?